But wait, what if I get assigned early? This is one of the questions that I get asked all the time by new option sellers. It is definitely one of the most common fears that they have. But here's the twist. Early assignment is not actually the monster under the bed that we all believe it to be. In fact, sometimes it's a gift. Let me show you why. When somebody exercises an option, it just means they're converting it into its stock equivalent. If somebody exercises a call option with a 200 strike, it just means that they now own 100 shares of whatever company at the $200 price mark. One option contract equals 100 shares. It's that simple. Now, if an option's in the money at expiration, it's going to be exercised because there is something called intrinsic value, meaning that if the option were to be exercised, there is a realized value to be had for the person who bought the option. Early exercising is actually rarer than you would think. And that's because options are made up of two things, intrinsic value and extrinsic value. Now, if somebody exercises early, meaning they're converting that option into stock or converting it into its intrinsic value, what happens to all that extrinsic value? They're actually giving it up. And that's why in most cases, when you're long an option and you want to close the position, it makes more sense to sell the option rather than exercising it. When you sell an option, you have an obligation to fulfill that contract if it's exercised. If the buyer exercises it, that means you're going to get assigned and you'll need to deliver 100 shares of whatever underlying in that call option example. That's really all assignment is. It's just the other side of that trade. It's nothing magical. But here's the scenario that people panic about. Let's say they sell a $200 strike option for $5. The stock goes up to $210 and it still has a few days to expiration left. And that option is now worth $11. $10 of intrinsic value and $1 of extrinsic value. And if you get assigned early, you're going to lose that $10 and then you're long a bunch of shares. But here's the thing that most people miss. That option was worth $11. What happens to that $1 of time value that was remaining? Well, if you exercise early, there's no time value on shares, only on options. So that $1 of extrinsic value goes right in the pocket of the option seller. So for that option buyer, it actually would have been better if they just sold the option. But because they chose to exercise it, that extrinsic value is no longer there and it just goes straight into the pocket of the seller. Now, there's a second fear that people have though, where even if they understand the situation, they say to me, but wait, what if I get assigned and I don't have the shares? And this is a totally fair question, but it's not a real problem. Here's why. Remember back when you sold the option, your broker made you post margin? Well, that margin you posted is there to cover this exact scenario. So if you're assigned, guess what'll happen? You'll just end up short 100 shares and your margin will be utilized. And all you need to do when that happens is go into the market and buy 100 shares. You're now back to neutral and you just got to pocket that extrinsic value. That's it. It's not a huge disaster. It's just a part of selling options. Now, here's where it can go wrong though. Let's say you do get assigned and you decide to do nothing. Now you're just sitting there holding a big stock position. You're not actually running the option trade that you wanted to be at the start. You're not actually running that directionless option position that you originally wanted to be. You're now just long or short a bunch of delta. And that means your P&L is going to move simply with the stock price. Now, the fix for this is simple. If you get assigned, just close out the trade. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Now, obviously, getting that extrinsic value if somebody assigns early sounds really good, but I will mention this. Don't build your strategies around early assignment, please. It's nice when it happens, but it's really rare. And it usually happens very close to expiration, meaning the extrinsic value that remains is pennies usually. So think of it as a very small win when it happens and not actually a strategy to trade. But if you do want to take early assignment of something, you can get assigned with a Predicting Alpha membership. By the way, you know another time that early assignment is pretty cool? When you get assigned a free trial with Predicting Alpha. Yeah, that was awful, but we do run 5 systematic option selling strategies that all have a bunch of evidence to prove why they work. And if you want to see them, just click the link in the description and you can get assigned a free trial with us.